Good afternoon, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis giving you the July 8th analysis show for the 2017 Transpac. A lot has changed in a day, as we can see on our tracker. We'll start off here and discuss a few points and some interesting news. So, going in to zoom into the fleet, yesterday's tutorial was how to do this and how to navigate around the browser, but one thing that's really distinctive that you see this time around is that there's no longer three distinct groups of boats. We don't have the first day starters here, the Wednesday starters here, and the last day's Thursday starters here. They're now starting to overlap. But one thing you can see for sure is that the multi-hulls that started on Thursday, the Mod 70s along with the Orma 60, which is this one here, Mighty Merlot, they've jumped way out in front. They're going extremely fast. This Mighty Merlot is showing 17.5 knots, but look how fast Fado's going at 22.9. The other thing to look at is their distance in the last 24 hours, 538 nautical miles. And these are just extraordinary speeds. They've got good conditions out on the course to achieve that. One thing you're also seeing them do is starting to zigzag down the course. So they've gotten lifted to where a jibe was in order. Looking at the track for Maserati in particular, you can see this most distinctly. Now, this time yesterday, Maserati was out in front of the pack, so they've elected to stay south of the others, maybe banking on the weather routing programs that they have and the predictions that they have on where the wind's going to be strongest. But by being further south, as we discussed yesterday, they go longer distance. So, trade-off. Further south, more wind speed, go faster against sailing greater distance down the course. So first to jibe, they elected to dive further south and they jibe back. Not sure if that's a header or what's happening there where they corrected their course, but anyway, it's instructive to see what's happening here. For sure, they're getting in the zone of the race course where the wind is shifting from being a northerly. First of all, over here, northwesterly in the beginning part of the race, over here to being northerly, starting to shift toward northeast, and going even further east as you get down the track. This is the typical Transpac pattern due to the position up here of the perpetual, more or less perpetual North Pacific High. So this is fitting according to predictions. Now, it almost looks like Mighty Merlot on that heading. Let's see, speed 17.5, 233. Almost looks like there's a kink in their track to where they may have just jibed. But anyway, we'll be keeping track of this. They're doing well. The other boat that's doing extremely well, and we can find them in the pack here by just selecting them amongst the teams, and that is this boat right here, Comanche. Now, the breaking news is on Comanche is that they have set a new 24-hour monohull record for position reports from 0800 each day. All these boats report their positions to the race committee at 0800 Pacific time, I believe. And the guys on Comanche, between their two 0800 positions today or over the last 24 hours in that time, had gone 484 nautical miles. So when you do the math, it comes out to 20.2 knots of average speed. Pretty darn impressive. What it's also impressive about Comanche, yeah, there we are, right on the average, 20.2. So you can see that they're pointed right at Hawaii. They're going fast. Here in the last 24 hours, 468. Now that would have been at the time hack that this tracker had just refreshed, which was a few minutes ago. So now the other thing to note over here, folks, is 4-hour delay in real time. The reason that's used is so that those that may have the communication capability on board their boats can't use trackers as tactical tools against knowing what their competition is doing. So the organizers have put in this automated 4-hour delay. What does 4 hours mean on a course and a length of several days? Well, it doesn't seem like much, but it can, and especially as the boats approach into the islands and make their final approach and how to do that 4 hours can make a big difference. So they've elected to put this in so that it can't bias in favor of those that do have enough bandwidth to be able to use the tracker in the browser as we are doing now, because not all boats have that. All right, so Comanche, that's the lead story here. New Transpac record, monohull record for a 24-hour run. Very impressive. I did some math, and of course, what Skipper Ken Reed and navigator Stan Honey and the rest of that team are after is the monohull course record. That was held by Alfa Romeo 2009, 5 days, 14 hours, 36 minutes, 20 seconds. If they continue on this pace, certainly they're looking in a good position to do that. They need to average, 16 and a half knots down the course. Now, that's not necessarily 16 and a half knots through the water. As you can see, at some point, they're going to get lifted as well. Right now, they're just going straight line. It's interesting to me that their VMC course and the way they sail that boat allows them to not have to jibe back and forth, as we're seeing the multi-hulls do, but just go straight line at Hawaii and really optimizing what's called VMC, velocity made down the course. So they're in very good position right now. We'll see what happens. The wind's going to lighten up here in the future, but that's Stan's bright guy, and he's got some really awesome weather routing tools with him. They know the boat well. They've moded this boat for this race and done some changes in the sails and in the way they've configured the boat to optimize for Transpac. So right now things are looking great for them. And then even the multi-hulls, Mighty Merlot, the two Mod 70s, the multi-hull current course record is 5 days, 9 hours, 18 minutes, 26 seconds, set in 1997, so 20 years ago, set by Bruno Peyron and Commodore Explorer. These guys could very well be on, certainly right now they're on pace for doing that, but it's not that much of a time difference between that and the monohull record. So, we will see if these guys maybe have a shot at a multi-hull record as well. It's not necessarily record-breaking conditions out here either. The reports are, 15 to 20 knots out of the north. The seas are 2 to 3 feet, sometimes 4 feet. And I've been told this several times, what's key is not having necessarily a windy race, but just having the wind be consistent. In fact, I think it was Stan that told me that, because he was also the navigator on Alfa Romeo when they set their course record. He said it wasn't particularly windy, it was just steady the entire way. So that's what could create record conditions this time for the 49th edition of this race. We will see. The other thing I wanted to bring into the show today was, it's going to seem a little weird to have a video within a video, but we got this from the guys on Horizon just recently. Some of the boats are sending in cool, not just written reports, but also videos. This is one that I'll play.
Right,
I hope this works.
Horizon, Santa Cruz 50, Transpac. Position report, north 31.28.436, west 121.23.428. Gonna give it over here to our team leader, Len Bose, for a position report and regatta recap.
Yesterday we had a great start. We took the pin, just like we were in a portion of Myrtle. Sailed the high intensity like most races all the way to the Catalina, and as we round Catalina and saw it disappear behind us, the quietness of the crew was just kind of awesome, just thinking about the distance we'd have to travel. Last night was cold and wet, and we couldn't have done it without warm coffee and our Yetis. So thank you, Yeti.
So thank you from the Horizon team for thanking our sponsors. We certainly can't do this race without their help, but there's a testimonial and a little bit of a snapshot of what it's like out a few hundred miles offshore. They're reaching along. I urge everybody to check out some of the videos that we're getting from the boats. We're posting them on the website. Jared's doing a great job of keeping up with that. There's a wide variety of content that's very interesting. Anyway, so that's all I have for today. That breaking news of the leaders and how fast they're going. Everybody else is doing quite well. The only other thing I might want to point out, when you're looking at this fleet and how they're positioned, and then also looking at these little crown icons. These are basically who's ahead in corrected time. I explained that yesterday, and one of the things to note is that the distribution of the corrected time leaders is biased toward those that are further north. The reason for that, of course, is that they have fewer miles to go left on the course, and that's what's used in this corrected time calculation. So these may very well change as we get further down, but as you can see, most of those that are in the have the crowns on them are further north. An exception, though, is down here at Varuna. Chris Hemmons and his team going along at 12 knots on the Rogers 46. For sure, what's happening too in here is a mode change from jib reaching to jib top reaching, a reaching headsail, starting to get into spinnakers. So certainly asymmetric reaching spinnakers, and maybe even symmetric spinnakers as well. So look for the boats. They're still going fast, straight line tracks, but as the wind shifts aft, you'll see them their tracks start to sag up towards being more westerly, towards the rum line, as they sail the best angles for the sails they have. So with that, I think I'll conclude for the day. Thanks for tuning in. This is Dobbs Davis with the, what is today? Today is the 8th of July, and we'll try to bring you more news from the 2017 49th edition of the Transpac. Thanks very much.